Hello my beautiful butterflies, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Today we're going to be talking about entering our Crone era, going through the menopause and the transitions that can come with our magic. I'll be honest, menopause has always been kind of a thing that we didn't talk about, especially in England. I feel like it was just not a thing, like suddenly your grandmother or your mother would start having hot flushes and everyone just kind of ignore it. She might have a few meltdowns, but let's just ignore it. Don't talk about it kind of thing. So now I'm actually going through it myself. I didn't really know what to expect. I'll be honest with you, I didn't have much of a clue. All I knew was you're less attractive when you've got wrinkles and nobody's going to love you when you're old. You're just going to be thrown out of society. But then I'm a witch, so I'm already thrown out of society. I'm also neurodivergent. I'm also disabled. So, you know, was I ever really part of society anyway? The more I thought about my own feelings and worries and fears and societal pressures that are put on us, I started to really realise that maybe I'm not losing who I am or losing my self-worth. Maybe I'm stepping into a new version of myself. This is a time of transition. It's a time when I'm really stepping into working fully with Hecate, and I'll be honest, I'm stepping into being a crone. And in witchcraft, that is not a bad thing. In witchcraft, we look up to the crones in our society, in our groups. There are crones that I love watching and learning from here on YouTube. I'll leave a link to some of them down below because I've learned so much from them. And I love learning and growing. I love watching these older women who have lived their lives and brought up children and grandchildren and who have all the power and all the self-knowing that we try and fake all through our younger years. They have that, and yet society kind of makes us feel like, oh well, you're old now, see ya. But that's because we live in a capitalist society, and I think it's very important to remember that as we step into getting older, we are seen as less useful because many of us can do less. We retire, so we're not paying tax, we're not doing jobs of work. And so I think it's important to let go of what society tells us and to instead step into a really magical, transitional, beautiful time of life, which is your 40s and 50s to me and upwards. So yeah, that's kind of how I feel. Let me know down below though if you have other feelings or fears or thoughts around the menopause and growing older, because I think too often we grow up fearing getting older and we need to shake that because it's our time of power, you know. My personal experience of the menopause has been difficult. I had the perimenopause, I had nothing, no symptoms, didn't even know I was going through it. And then the full-on menopause hit me and I was having hot flushes and feeling ill, and it was making all my chronic illnesses flare up. So now I'm taking, what's it called, progesterone and estrogen, and they're working brilliantly. They really are. They really are. I don't know how my female ancestors coped, to be honest with you. Even like people from my mother's generation back, how did they cope? I don't know. There's a lot of overlap with disability, and that's because as your temperatures change and your hormones change, it affects your illnesses. It doesn't matter whether your illnesses are hormone based or not, it's still affected. It still does have a big effect on how you're feeling, how you see yourself. And I think there's been a lot of moments where I've kind of doubted myself and I've been like, well, who am I now? You know, I'm at that age where people kind of start looking down on you in society, and I don't like change. I'm very much one of those neurodivergent people who likes everything just so in their little box, do everything at the same time every week, and everything's regimented. So to have change happening really shook me up. I felt a bit like a snow globe where you shake it and all the stuff comes out, and it's felt like kind of the tarot card, to be honest with you. But I honestly, and this is the honest truth, the more I think about it, the more really thankful for this time I've become. So let's get into that. When we start to think of maiden, mother, crone, it's very much, it feels very constricting, doesn't it? Like you're a maid for a very short period of time in life. And then I never had the opportunity to become a mother. I tried, but it just didn't happen for me. So I feel like I kind of was a maid until now. I suppose I'm a fur baby mother with little Twig and Gizmo and Dexter. It's not quite the same, is it? I think we need to reframe how we see this, though. Whether we became mothers or not, through choice or not, we are still changing. It's like a butterfly coming out of the chrysalis is how I feel. And I've been Beverly Butterfly for a long time, but I suddenly feel like, you know, I could have these big butterfly wings. Oh God, I would love to have butterfly wings. Anyway, I feel like I have these big butterfly wings that have suddenly sprouted, and I feel like I'm starting to really discover who I am and who I want to be, how I want to practice my craft and how I want to move forward. All these things are starting to really start to make sense for me. And I think changing the narrative to transition, instead of I'm becoming obsolete, into this wonderful transitional liminal time that has really spoken to me since I've been working with Hecate, and has really started to open me up to the magical wonder of change and how much I can work with getting older as a way to spiritually develop and open up. I mean, I've only been really practicing as a witch for a few years. I think it's been about 4 or 5 years now, and I feel like, you know, I'm intermediate. I want to deepen my practice. I want to get closer to my goddess and my ancestors, and I feel like all these things are starting to mishmash together, and I'm starting to feel like I'm in a tumble dryer rushing around. But it's really exciting because all the things that no longer serve me are kind of being thrown out. And yeah, like the tower, like a tumble dryer, like however you want to think of it, all those things that never really served me are being shed from me, and it feels really cool. I'm really enjoying it, actually. I never thought I would say that about the menopause, but I'm really enjoying it. But I think it's thinking of it as not a loss so much as an initiation. Like we're starting to go through this initiation into the crone. I'm not a crone yet. I'm stepping into that. And I think it's really important to think of it as an initiation. Am I ready to step into that? And the universe thinks I am, so I'm going to go with it. I think it's so easy to see ourselves and other older women as irrelevant and old and useless, and they've done everything that we need from them. They've been productive, now we don't need you anymore, and kind of throw you away like society makes us feel about women. But I think we should start seeing all older women as wise, as intuitive, as people who know their boundaries and set them, as people who are connected to that inner truth and connected to their faith, or they've got everything down. Like my nan, when she was going through the menopause, I was little, and I just remember watching her pray and being so moved by it. And that vision of her, like I can see her right now sitting in her chair with her Bible open, having her Bible studies. And she just seemed so deeply connected to her truth. Her faith was so out there. She didn't hide who she was anymore. And that's what I want to be. I want to be open. I want to stop shrinking away who I am and hiding parts of me. I want to just be me. I want to return to me, to Beverly, to who I always have been. And that's how I'm viewing this transitional time at the moment. So in my life, this is showing up in a lot of ways. I care less about what people think about me. If I want to wear a magical looking dress with big flamboyant sleeves just to sit around the house all day, I'm going to do it. I don't care what people think. If I want to change my style each week and not be that 50s like vintage gal that I was, but still play around with vintage clothing, but just be a bit more wild and free with it, then I'm going to do it. I think it's also about being more reflective and looking back over my day. Like each evening now, I kind of look back over my day and see how I can make tomorrow better. I'm very much more connected with my ancestors and my spiritual team as a whole, and really connecting to them in a way that is going to make me feel like they're walking alongside me, rather than I'm just going and spending time with them in my altar room at the altars. I think it's letting go of the things that do not serve me. And that is a big thing for me. I often have done things or kept doing things or held on to things because I was used to them. It was comfortable. I don't want to live in a comfortable life anymore. I kind of want to shake things up and change things up. And I definitely have changed things. Like this year, my whole life, like kind of broke it down and reinvented my week, changed everything round that I was doing each day. That has helped so much. I felt myself pulled more to chanting and meditation and prayer than doing spells, and I think that is just natural as well. I want to do slower rituals, turning making a cup of tea into a ritual, turning everyday things like making the bed and washing my face into these beautiful slow rituals that can really fulfill and make every moment and every corner of my day feel magical. It's having a more intuitive practice where I listen and ask questions as to where I should be going and what I should be doing each day. That has been beautiful. And I've just had a more intuitive and intentional days, more about how I feel pulled to act rather than putting pressure on myself. If I need to rest, I rest. If I want to read, I read. If I want to record a video before lunch, I'll do it. It's listening to myself more instead of caring what people think and their opinions about what I should be doing. But if you're struggling with all this change, if you're going through the menopause and all of this kind of feels difficult to cope with and it's hard to let go of what your family think and what your friends think, that's perfectly normal. People who are not on this journey are not going to understand the way that you feel, and I think it's important to normalise that grief comes along with transition. Grieving your ability to have a baby if you wanted to have one, grieving a romance that you had that kind of fizzled out, grieving the job that you had, grieving your children leaving the house and getting married and settling down themselves. You're allowed to grieve who you were. Two things can be right at the same time. We can still be grieving the past, but still feel like we're stepping into our powerful goddess era. And you know what? Same. Let's do this. There are very simple, easy ways to honour this time of your life. You could keep a journal and write in that how you're feeling. Step into more rest, more sitting down, slower hobbies, away from screens. Like you might take up crochet or knitting or embroidery, or enjoy going on long walks, working with Crone archetypes in psychology, or working with a goddess that is associated with Crone energy. For me, that's Hecate. She's definitely come to me in this time, and letting go of those letting go of those society rules and instead being initiated into this wonderful, magical new era in your life. Remember that menopause doesn't have to be the end. It doesn't have to be the end of you being productive. It doesn't have to be the end of you being needed by your family or wanted. It might be that you start something new, and it might be the beginning of just meeting who you are fully. It might be the beginning of a new ritual that you do, or a new home, or a new way of thinking. There's so many news to explore, and if you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, you're only halfway through your life. You know, we don't live to be that age anymore. We live to be 100 plus sometimes. So we're only halfway through. There's so much more adventure to be had, so much more fun to be had. And I really hope that you will step into that and see it as an adventure, an initiation, a newness. And you can still grieve the past, but look forward to the future. I think it's important to remember that. I really hope that you all enjoyed this video. And if you did, don't forget to leave it a cheeky like, comment and subscribe down below, as it all helps me to know, and the YouTubeverse to know, that you enjoyed the video, and it'll show it out just that little bit more. Take care everyone, have a wonderful, magical week, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!